Welcome. Welcome, everyone, to our annual Worcester Senior Center Veterans Day program. My name is Suki Lapin. I'm the program coordinator here. I would like to thank the Worcester Senior Center staff members who made this program a huge success today. First, Jennifer Lynch. Huge round of applause for Jennifer Lynch. Jim Crociere, Shirley Lyon, and Don Scogland, thank you very much. Elder Services Nutrition Program under the direction of Jerry Hallis and her staff. Ashley Donnelly and Matt Sullivan from QCC Hotel Restaurant and Management School, who also catered today's event. Thank you to our volunteers who made our lunchroom look so patriotic. Kay Drumhiller, Joan Zaleski, Kathy O'Connor, Gina, our QCC intern, thank you very much. Thank you to our sponsors today, Ascend Health, Aetna Insurance, and Goddard Homestead Hall. And thank you to both our school partners, Assabet Valley Marine Corps, ROTC, and their Marine instructor, Tracy Lynch. And Claremont Academy, Worcester Public School students for participating in today's special programming. Now I have the privilege and honor of introducing Dr. Joe Robinson, City of Worcester Director of Veteran Services. Dr. Joe Robinson is a trailblazer, the first African American to serve as Director of Veteran Services in Worcester's 300-year history. A retired U.S. Marine, Dr. Robinson transformed his compassion into a lifelong mission of service. He previously coordinated veteran employment programs across 22 cities and towns from Quincy to Cape Cod. Dr. Robinson served honorably in the United States Marine Corps from April 1990 to January 1999. He holds a PhD in executive leadership, a master's degree in business management, and a double major bachelor's degree in business and human resource management. For more than 20 years, he has shared his expertise in veteran services and is an adjunct college professor in business and IT curriculums. He's continued his service to our veterans as a member of the Governor's End Veterans Homelessness Advisory Board and Commonwealth's Chapter 115th Working Group, both of which he works tirelessly at to improve veteran services throughout Massachusetts. Welcome, Dr. Joe Robinson.
Thank you, Suki. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Isn't that the saying? Once a Marine, always a Marine. So all my Marines simplify. Just want to say good morning to everyone, or good afternoon. Certainly welcome you all to another year, another beautiful event that we're hosting here at the Worcester Senior Center. It really is, brings enjoyment to most of us, and it brings enjoyment especially to my office and our staff that work with veterans day in and day out. It's our mission to try and find out what the veteran needs are, and either if we can't do it, we'll put you in contact with an organization that can do it. I actually had a veteran come up to me here. Where's he at? He told me I helped him on getting some hearing aids. So that's what it's all about. Just the little things that we do, making those connections to help out a fellow veteran. So with that being said, I have the great honor. So welcome to you all. I have the great honor of introducing my fellow devil dog, Sergeant Major Tracy Lynch. I tell you what, if you put 30 years in the Marine Corps, believe me, that is one heck of a task. And I have some choice words to say, but it's a heck of a task. The things that you have endure, the leadership that you learn, and the friendships and connections that you build over 30 years says a lot for Sergeant Major Tracy Lynch. So with that being said, Sergeant Major Tracy Lynch served 30 years in the United States Marine Corps. He entered the United States Marine Corps in October 1986. Private Lynch graduated from recruit training at Parris Island. I won't hold that against you. Sergeant Major Tracy Lynch. I actually went to MCRD San Diego, so he graduated from Parris Island. He understands the sentiment. We always have a inner rivalry going back and forth between Parris Island and MCRD San Diego. They call us the Hollywood Marines. So Sergeant Major Tracy Lynch graduated from Parris Island in 1986. He went on to Bravo Company Infantry Training Battalion at the School of Infantry, Camp Gregory in North Carolina. His diverse 30-year career includes assignments in infantry, security forces, recruiting duty, he was a formal instructor. He was a formal drill instructor, inspector for the reserves. He established and servicing jointly with coalitions and multinational special operation forces. Sergeant Major Lynch has a multitude of combat tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Kosovo. He also has deployed to Asia, Africa, the Pacific Theater, and the Mediterranean Sea. His personal awards include the Legion of Merit, two Bronze Star medals, two Purple Heart medals, a Meritorious Service Medal, 4 Navy Marine Corps Commendation Medals with Combat Valor Distinguishing Device, and Combat Action Ribbons, the Navy Marine Corps Prescott Insignia. Sergeant Major Tracy Lynch retired in 2016 and was hired as a Marine Corps instructor at Assabet Valley Technical High School. I was talking to Sergeant Major Lynch before I came up about the amazing job that he does with our young folks at Assabet, and he gives WSC a lot to shoot for. We have one JROTC program here in the city, and his sets the tone for us to continue to do more. So I just want to thank him for his service to our country. I want to thank him for his service to not only the Worcester community, he serves many communities throughout the Commonwealth and his group. So once again, let's welcome Sergeant Major Tracy Lynch. He's going to be our MC for today.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson, distinguished guest, Claremont Academy High School students. Thank you guys for being here. Family, friends of the Worcester Senior Center, all the veterans out here this morning, God bless you and thank you for being here. First and foremost, let me just, Veterans Day is almost like we want to celebrate today. It's almost a celebration of all the men and women that, raised their right hand to serve and defend this great country of ours against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So today is somewhat of a little bit of a celebration. Memorial Day, which comes in May, is the day when we'll remember those men and women that we might have lost, in one of the foreign wars and all that. So let's just make sure we understand that. When Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner over 200 years ago, bombs bursting in air, started out as a poem. He's watching the bombs burst over Fort McHenry, and he started to write the Star Spangled Banner on a little piece of paper, and it turned into be a poem, which now is our national anthem. At this time, I would like to please rise for the presentation of colors, if you're able, and remain standing as we honor our nation with the pledge, followed by the singing of the national anthem. At this time, I would like Carlos Lopez Aquino and Jonathan Pock of Claremont Academy. They're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on up, fellas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, guys. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Chaplain Robin Fennell, Ascend Health, for our invocation.
Hello. I am glad you're all here, and I am honored to be here myself. Before we get started, I'd like us all to just close our eyes for a moment and take a deep breath in and then exhale so we can be fully present for our sacred event that we are here to celebrate today. Let us bow our heads in the spirit of gratitude and remembrance. Almighty source of life and love, we gather this day as a community united in respect and honor. We give thanks to the men and women who have served our nation with the courage and devotion, for their families who have supported them, and for all who teach and guide the next generation in the way of duty and service. May our hearts be open to the lessons of sacrifice and perseverance. May this gathering inspire us to live with integrity, compassion, and gratitude. And may the memory of those who served continue to strengthen our today's resolve to build a community of honor, peace, and understanding. We ask your blessing, God, upon this assembly, upon our veterans, our students, our cadets, and all who are present today. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Robin, for that invocation. At this time, I'd like to, ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. I would like to introduce Omar and Kathy and Nikki from Claremont High as they're going to read Heroes Don't Wear Capes.
Heroes Don't Wear Capes by Jennifer Garakti. They don't run faster than speeding light or fly above the clouds. They wear their hearts on their sleeves, shields in their wallets, citations on their walls. They have silver stars, medals from Congress, letters from government officials thanking them for their sacrifice, for their service and sacrifice. They have scars on their bodies and broken hearts with thoughts of yesterday. Their memories are kept in a vault. Only they have the key that unlocks it. A past is revealed with words like duty, honor, brotherhood, and country.
Heroes are not invincible or immortal. They have fears like the rest of us, but just overlook them in the face of adversity. They consider their personal safety second. They save lives without thinking twice about their own. Heroes cry hard, live life fully, and love the most. They can't forget and don't want to remember. They wear their burdens of their courage on their shoulders, so heavy a load it could crumble the tallest building.
We all know a hero. They are our fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters. They live among us to serve and protect, to care for. Heroes have sacrificed plenty and get little in return. They ask for nothing. It is just in their nature to be brave, to be courageous, to rise to the occasion and overcome. They are the few, a race of man that is endangered, a dying breed. We must never forget them, who they are, what they have done. They are our saviors of humanity, and for that we owe them a debt that could never be paid. Thank you.
Good job, guys. Thank you so much. Wow, some powerful words there. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I would like to draw your attention to the back of the cafeteria or the ballroom as Cadet Captain Jessica Galka will tell us about the significance of that powerful and wonderful table that we probably see in so many dining halls and facilities across the nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you entered the dining hall, you may have noticed a special table. It is reserved to honor our missing comrades. Please let me explain the meaning of this table and then join me for a moment of silent prayer. This table is set for one which represents any American who was or is still missing. All Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call and served the cause of freedom in a special way. This table symbolizes that they are here with us in spirit. The table is round to show our everlasting concern. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to serve. The single red rose reminds us of the lives of these Americans and the loved ones and friends who keep the faith awaiting answers. The yellow ribbon symbolizes our continued uncertainty, hope for their return, and determination to account for them. A slice of lemon reminds us of their bitter fate, captured or missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears of their missing and their families. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share a toast. The chair is empty. They are missing. Ladies and gentlemen, a moment of silence for our fallen comrades missing in action and prisoners of war.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain Golka. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, what I would like to do is recognize every branch of service that we support in this great nation that we call the United States of America. It is the men and women that take that oath, and many are here. And many of them in here know this oath. Trying not to get a little emotional here, but it's a sacred oath that we take, and it's kind of etched in our heart that we carry for a very long, long time. So if you see your flag being presented here today, please feel free to stand if you can of your particular branch of service. So we'll start with the United States Army. The United States Army, the Continental Army, was created on 14 June 1775 by the Continental Congress as a unified army for the colonies to fight against Great Britain, with George Washington appointed its commander. United States Marine Corps. The United States Marine Corps traces its roots to the Continental Marines of the American Revolutionary War, formed by Captain Samuel Nicholas by a resolution of the Second Continental Congress on November 10, 1775. It raised 2 battalions of Marines. Happy 250th birthday this year, Marines. United States Navy. On 13 October 1775, the Continental Congress authorized the purchase of 2 vessels to be armed for a cruise against British merchant ships. This resolution created the Continental Navy and is considered the first establishment of the United States Navy. United States Air Force was initially part of the United States Army. The United States Air Force was formed as a separate branch of the United States forces on 18 September 1947. It is one of the most largest and one of the most technologically advanced air forces in the world. The newest service, the United States Space Force. The United States Space Force was established on December 20th, 2019, when the National Defense Authorization Act was signed in law, creating the first new branch of armed services in over 73 years. The United States Coast Guard. It was created by Congress on 4 August 1790. It is the oldest continuous seagoing service of the United States. The Coast Guard is a maritime, military, and multi-mission service unique among the United States military branches for having a maritime law enforcement mission. And, of course, not last and not least, the prisoner of war flag. The POW flag, MIA flag, was created by the National League of Families of American Prisoners of Missing in Southeast Asia and officially recognized by United States Congress in its conjunction with the Vietnam War POW MIA issue as a symbol of our nation's concern and commitment in resolving a fully possible the fates of the Americans still prisoners of war or missing in Southeast Asia. Thank you. At this time, I know we just did. If we can have all the veterans please stand again. Please stand again. Yes, thank you. Big round of applause. Thank you so much for your service and your dedication to this country. Thank you so much. Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce Betty Benoit. She's a Life Associate member of the Military Order of the Purple Heart. She's also the JROTC coordinator, and I've known her for years, and she is wonderful. So she's going to join us here in a second.
Okay, now we're going to start our panel discussion. And we are going to invite Phil Medeo, Bruce Mendelson, Dr. Joe, and Tracy Lynch up to our stage. So we've already introduced Dr. Joe and Tracy Lynch. Betty Benoit will be reading the bios for Bruce Mendelson and Phil Medeo. And then the Claremont Academy students will be asking questions to the panelists.
Philip Medeo serves as president of BOD of Mass Vietnam Veterans Memorial at Green Hill Park. Decorated Vietnam combat veteran, commander, Vernon Hill Post AL number 435 Worcester, Veterans Council, treasurer, Vietnam Veterans for the Community, Bronze Star, Silver Star, Purple Heart. Please welcome Philip Medeo. Bruce Mendelson is a third-generation U.S. Army veteran officer who lives in Millbury. He earned his active duty commission from Fordham University, ROTC BA from Vassar College, and master's degree in systems management from the University of Southern California, Marshall School of Business. He served 3.5 years overseas at Camp Casey, Korea, as a platoon leader in the 2nd Infantry Division, and in Aschbahn, Germany, as Commander Executive Officer in the 1st Armored Division. He is active in several veterans organizations, including the Missions Continue, Team RWB, and Jewish War Veterans of the U.S. He currently works for the City of Worcester as Resource Development Coordinator in the Mass Hire Central Region Workforce Board. A native of Washington, D.C., he moved to Massachusetts in 2006 to marry his college sweetheart, Dr. Heather Ann Thompson, a Latin teacher at Shrewsbury High School. Bruce, a decorated U.S. Army veteran, consistently volunteers in the community for organizations such as the United Way of Central Mass, the Jewish Foundation of Central Mass, the YMCA, Working for WU, and the Mission Continues. He is also Junior Vice Commander of the Jewish War Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Please welcome Bruce Mendelson.
Okay.
It's nice to meet you all. My name is Ruth. My question is, how and why did you join the military? For all of you.
Her question was, how and why did each of us join the military? Some of you heard my story, but for those that did not, I actually came out of high school as a pretty good running back in football. And I was headed to Florida to play football. And I was working 2 jobs my senior year. I was working at Long John Silver's frying fish, and I was also working at Target stores in the health and beauty department. And I looked up one day and I saw this guy staring at me when I was folding towels at Target. And then I looked up the second day, I seen this guy staring at me. And on the third day, when I seen the guy staring at me, I got pissed off, and I went over to him and said, "Why are you staring at me?" And he said, "Are you going to fold towels the rest of your life?" And I said, "No, sir. I'm headed to play football this fall." And he sold me on. He said, "Well, do you have any children?" I said, "Well, yeah, I got a little daughter that I have custody of." He said, "Well, you can take her to the Marine Corps with you and play football instead of leaving her at home while you go to college." And I was like, hey, that's a better deal for me to take my daughter with me. And so I went in the Marine Corps, made it through boot camp, got to my first duty station. And when I was there, here I am walking around the base talking to the captains and my commanding officers like, where's the football team? They're like, what are you talking about? I said, where's the football team? Like, I'm supposed to be playing football. And they said, son, you have to play intramural football, make it to the base team, make it to the all Marine Corps team, and then make it to the Navy. That's going to take you about 6 or 8 years. And so I was disappointed, but I believe every happenstance in life happens for a reason. But as a result of that happening to me, I just had a tremendous time in the United States Marine Corps, became a part of a brotherhood. And certainly, Sergeant Major Tracy can tell you, if you run into any Marine anywhere, it's like a whole freaking reunion when we find out we're in the Marine Corps. And it truly is a big sister and brotherhood, made connections, and did things that I would not have done in college. I later went back, obviously, with having a PhD and completed my degrees, et cetera. But the experiences that I had in the Marine Corps, I just couldn't beat them, and the things that I could not do in everyday life. So that was my story, how I got into the United States Marine Corps.
What? Got a much better story? The reason I joined is it was either that or getting arrested and going to jail because I was drafted. So if you don't show up, they put those cuffs on you and away you go. But I didn't join. I just drafted. I was screaming and kicking. But what are you going to do? When I used to go to my grandmother's house, her 6 sons were all in at the same time, and he used to have the pictures on the wall. Of course, you go in a parlor with everything, because you can only go on Sunday to go in a parlor. And you sit down and look up, and there was a 6. Army, Navy, no Marines, because they were pretty smart guys. That's why they weren't in the Marines. Sorry, kids. I'm only kidding. But that was it. Went to Springfield. They said, bring your toothbrush. And then I saw my house maybe 10 weeks later. I got home, and after basic training, then I went to AIT, and that was it. Then I went fun in the sun. Across the pond that are now. Here you go, Bruce. You're up.
I'll go. Thanks. So guys, just one thing about Phil. He's very understated, as you can see. But the Silver Star is the nation's 3rd highest award for combat valor. And when you sit next to a guy who won a Silver Star, it's pretty amazing, right? So Phil jokes around. But he says he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I mean, it's an honor. And then, of course, you sit next to a guy who has 2 Purple Hearts, and that's just bad luck. So you don't want to sit too close to him. I would say that my path to service was both practical and rooted in some of these concepts that we talk about, like liberty and justice for all. As stated in my intro, sorry that was so long. I'm a 3rd generation U.S. Army veteran. My grandfather served in World War I. My father served in a very little known operation in Lebanon in 1956. And so it was important to me to continue that service, both as an American, as a Jewish American. So that's kind of that service to country. And then, of course, there's the practical aspect, which may resonate with some of the students here. I applied for and got a 3-year scholarship to a elite liberal arts institution. I got training, and then after I got out of the service, I had money from the GI Bill to get a master's degree. No debt, health insurance, training, service to country that stays with you your entire life. So that's from a practical aspect.
Great question. For me, I raised, single mother. We had a brother and a sister. So money was a little was tight. I would tell you that much. And options coming out of high school were not all that. I did okay in high school and all those things. Well, my real hero was my grandfather. World War II, served in France. He worked on a farm, had like about 80 acres. Had a massive farm. Hard work every day on that farm. So I watched him as my hero growing up, and one day I was just talking, I called him Pop. I said, Pop, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't really have a lot of money to go to college. I could take out a student loan and all that. And he said, Tracy, why don't you think about the military? And I really didn't give him much thought to the military at all, to be honest with you. Just like Dr. Joe, I was a huge basketball nut. I wanted to go to college maybe to play basketball, but as I mentioned, the money wasn't there. So my grandfather, who was a huge influence, said, you need to look at it. And he handed me this piece of paper, and I tell my cadets this. On that piece of paper was 3 things. Go to college, we're not paying. Get a job, work on this farm. You see what I do and how hard of a life, how hard work it is. And I was thinking, well, I could maybe work on a farm. And then 3, serve your country. So as you can tell, 30 years later, I took option 3, and I never looked back. So some people ask, well, Tracy, why 30 years? Why'd you stay so long? I got married, raised a family, and believe it or not, the military will take care of your every need that you have, your family, your medical, everything. Yes, there's things that come along with that, meaning overseas tours and all kind of other things. But, very happily married, raised 2 sons, all those things. So it was a great place for me to continue my career. At the same time, education was very important, as you can see or hear from up here. So continue to pursue my education online and things of that nature. But yeah, that's my story, and I just fell in love with it and stuck with it for 30 years. And now I think I'm on my 40th year of serving in uniform as I continue to teach and do what I'm doing. And I tell my cadets this, and I mean, this is for a lot of folks in the room, especially the young people. And I was telling Dr. Robinson this, you don't have to necessarily serve per se in a uniform, right? That'd be great if you want to pursue that. But you can serve by just serving your community. Being a good citizen, doing the right things in your community, helping your fellow neighbor. All those things, you can serve. And you don't necessarily have to serve in uniform. If you decide to take that path and to serve the nation and all that, I tell you, my personal opinion, as you can tell 30 years later, there's nothing wrong with that. As you can see, a lot of these ladies and gentlemen out here in the crowd. But just to serve your community, that's the bottom line for everybody, I believe. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeff. Nice to meet you guys. And my question is, can you share a memorable experience from your service?
Memorable experience from our service. Well, I got kind of, I'll maybe share 2. One was going through boot camp, especially Marine Corps boot camp, is really extremely tough and challenging. So you have to be mentally prepared, physically. They will get you in shape one way or the other, I guarantee you that. They will get you in shape. So going through boot camp, and I'll just give you some numbers. They kind of, at that time, they tested you before you went in on physical fitness and see what you did. I was doing, I want to say 80 sit-ups in 2 minutes. When I graduated boot camp, I was knocking out over 160 in 2 minutes. I was doing 20 dead hang pull-ups. When I graduated boot camp, I was easily knocking out 60 or 80 dead hang pull-ups. I was running 3 miles. I think I ran it in like 19 or 20 minutes when I went in. When I came out, I was running in like, I was just barely clearing 17 minutes. And so I was booking. So you will get in physically, believe me, extraordinary shape going through any branch of service as far as the military. But my time in there, going through boot camp, there was another Marine in my same platoon. His name was James Robinson. I'm Joe Robinson. I'm 6 foot, he's 5'2". And so he was always in front of me. When we were drilling, anything we did, he was always in front of me. The problem with James was, and believe it or not, he and I are good friends to this day, but James' feet and his little legs were so short that he was always out of step. Always out of step. When we're taking apart our weapons, he could never take apart his weapon fast. He couldn't do these things. And so I seen him messing up day after day. I said nothing because it wasn't my problem, it was his. But all of a sudden, all 5 drill instructors that I had thought it was my problem. So they came over to me and they called me Big Rob and they called him Little Rob in boot camp. And it was like, Big Rob, you're just gonna let him walk out of step? You're just gonna let him get us all killed if we go to war? And they just giving me these examples, and I quite didn't understand it. I was a quiet kid who played football coming from the Midwest, from Iowa. I didn't quite understand what they were trying to tell me. So I kind of ignored it. But then when he started getting out of step, not taking apart his weapon, not cleaning his boots well, and then they would call us up front. And I'm like, why are they calling me? They would say, Big Rob, Little Rob, to the front of the classroom. We'll run up there. Now, even if you're outside, it's still the front of the classroom, wherever the drill instructors are at. So we'll run up there. We get up there. I'm standing there at the position of attention. He's standing there at the position of attention. And then they tell him, put a smile on your face. Get in parade, rest, just rest. And I'm like, what's going on? They said, Big Rob is gonna pay for you. So I was doing jumping jacks, running in place for hours. I mean, it had me in sand pits, sand and dust flying everywhere. He's there with a smile on his face, and I did absolutely nothing wrong. And so I started resenting him during training. Every time he would mess up, the resentment was just build up. Finally, they gave us at night, we had about 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. You had this time to yourself to either work on whatever you needed to work on, shine your boots, or write letters home to family and friends. So one night when we got our hour of rec time before lights were out, I went over to his rack. I was like, dude, you got to get it together. I can't keep taking this. I had been doing this for like almost a month, paying for this guy. So I was sitting there showing him how to take apart his weapon, how to shine his boots, how to march and drill right. And all of a sudden, one of our drill instructors walks over to us and he said, you finally figured it out. We were trying to figure out how long it was going to take you to figure it out, that we saw leadership in you. And we were trying to get you to understand it was your job to go help him. And so that was one of my most memorable moments in boot camp. So mind you, I thought I was tortured by all 5 drill instructors going through training. They were picking on me the most, I assumed, out of 102 recruits going through training. Well, when we graduated boot camp, I went back home on my 30 days leave. I made it my point I was never, ever going back to MCRD San Diego. I said, I'm never going back. I don't want to see those 5 drill instructors' faces ever again in my life. So, went home on 30 days leave, went to Camp Pendleton, Northern California or Southern California on training, out on the field training, weapons training, etc., for about 45 days. And then I got my orders to go to my MOS, my military occupation training school, which mine was administration, so I got to go learn how to be an office clerk. So when they sent me to this school, I was there, and unbeknown to me, Little Rob was there also. We were in the same school. And so when we were in the same school together, we started building this friendship. But every Marine in my platoon would go back to San Diego on the weekends to see the drill instructors and interact with them. I would never go. I hated those guys. And so they would come back with these stories of, hey man, they keep asking about you. They keep asking about you. Where are you at? Why won't you come see them? And I was like, tell those dudes I don't ever want to see them again in my life. So, mind you, a year has went by, almost a year, and we get our orders to where our first duty station is where we're going to go out to the fleet in the Marine Corps and get our first real job in the Marine Corps. I could have went anywhere from Iowa to Okinawa, Japan. And when I got my orders, I opened them up and I said, you got to be kidding me. They literally be it, I was going right back to MCRD San Diego, the place I had been running from for a year and a half. So I found myself back on the base there in MCRD San Diego, but it was a little strange. Marines weren't yelling and screaming at me this time. They were treating me like a regular person because I was out in the fleet and I was a Marine. And so one day, and it was my job to yell and stress out recruits coming in the Marine Corps. And I'm yelling at 68 recruits in this big room. And I look over to the right and I see a drill instructor's, what we call a smoky, his hat. And I see his silhouette. And the guy didn't enter the room, he was just staring at me. And I'm up on a podium yelling at these recruits. And lo and behold, I turn my head back, I go back to stressing out these recruits and yelling at them. I look back, the drill instructor was gone. So about 10 minutes later, I'm yelling again at these guys, really digging into them and stressing them out, playing mind games with them, sit up, sit down, get up, sit down, little things like that. I look back, the drill instructor was there once again. So finally I said, well, I better go over and see what this guy wants. I walk over to the door. He had his head down, so I couldn't see his face. And then when I got over to the door, he lifted his head up and he said, I taught you well, didn't I? And so that was my drill instructor, Sergeant Gastello, the guy that I was running from the most, the guy that I hated the most, the guy that bugged me the most, and that just terrorized me during training. So I finally asked him, what do you do in the Marine Corps? You know, what is your job? You know, I could have swore he was infantry or recon. And when he looked at me, he smiled. He said, I play the trumpet in the band. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So he was a band member. So that goes to show you, in the military branches, it doesn't matter whether you're a cook, band member, infantry. We're all one service. We all have a mission towards keeping this country safe. And I just thought he was the toughest, hardest guy ever. And it just blew my mind that he was a trumpet player in the band. I was like, no way. So that was my two interesting stories, most memorable, that I take out of United States Marine Corps.
That's a hard one to follow. Well, I'll give you kind of two. My first one, I don't know if everybody knows that the Marine Corps provides all security detail for the President of the United States at Camp David in the White House. So, you know, if you ever see the President, you'll see Marines around, you know, the doors and the hatches and all that stuff. So the Marines are there at Camp David, Air Force One, all those things. So Marines provide that. So out of, Paris Island, I get through all that. I'm doing really well, strong, doing great, get to my school, and they come down and they interview Private PFC Lynch to go on presidential duty to serve at the White House. I'm like, yeah, because you had to be pretty squared away. You had to be a really good Marine. You had to have, high PT score, all these things, right? So I'm like ecstatic. This is in February. I'm going to go, and plus I was originally from Pennsylvania, so I was going to be close to home and all these things. Well, this is February, and we know what happens in February in the Northeast. What happens? Somebody decided to go home and visit his sweetheart right over there for a long weekend. So this is a little bit about adversity and perseverance. So I go home, visit my sweetheart for a long 3-day weekend. Guess what happens to Private Lynch in the Northeast? I get stuck there. And I'm supposed to be back there, back down in North Carolina. So he can't be in two places at once. So Private First Class Lynch shows back up late to base. And some of us know what that means. I was UA, what we call unauthorized absent. I was not supposed to be in Pennsylvania during a snowstorm. I was supposed to be in North Carolina. So I report in to my commanding officer. They were like, Private First Class Lynch, we no longer find you fit to go serve on the presidential duty at the White House and Camp David. So as a young Marine, I was broken heart. I was devastated. But I knew I loved my sweetheart, so I had that going for me. And they said, you know what? Guess where we'd like to send you now? Guam. Some tiny island all the way in the Pacific, in the middle of nowhere. This island was like 20 miles long, 7 miles wide. This little island in the middle of the Pacific. So Private First Class Lynch went to Guam, continued on with my mission and my duty, and I look back on that time frame as, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, make this happen. Short story is, fast forward, 30 years, very successful in the Marine Corps, made it all the way up to Sergeant Major. So the point of that story is, guys and gals, hey, don't let adversity stand in your way. If you have a goal in life, if there's something that you want to pursue, go do it. One thing I've learned in this in my life, and this is just me personally, some other folks might say the same, they're not just going to give it to you guys. You got to work a little bit for it. You got to work hard. But there will be, bumps and bruises and all those things along the way. So perseverance, that's my story. My second one, a quick one. Anybody scared of heights? I don't know if I'm a parachutist. I jump out of airplanes. You're like, why do you jump out of good, fundamental airplanes and all that stuff? So here I am, 10,000 feet, and we call those halo jumps. So you're in oxygen, you're jumping out of the airplane. I'm falling. I'm looking at my odometer and all those things on the wrist to see where we are. Guess what doesn't open? Parachute doesn't open. So thank goodness I had my reserve, all that stuff. So that this part of the second story is trust your training, trust your instincts, trust your gut, trust what you feel, guys, and you'll make the right decision. So thank goodness I had my reserve. Reserve comes out, I land safely, and here we are. So really 2 stories on adversity, perseverance, and then just knowing your gut and never giving up. Okay?
That's, as usual, a really difficult act to follow. So I have really 2 lessons. One is personal and one is leadership oriented. So the personal one, and this one is not a story of success. This is a story of failure. I was a rather decent officer, good rank, good evaluations, good PT scores, and I was offered a slot at Ranger School. And Ranger School is probably maybe the second most intense training in the Army. It's light infantry training. And I got into my 3rd week, and I was also airborne qualified, so I had to jump into our phases. You have 3 phases at the time. I jumped into a phase, and I landed, and I shattered my ankle. And I felt it, right? And to actually qualify for that phase, you had to ruck march like 10 miles to your objective. And I got a stick, and I'm hobbling along, and I couldn't make it. So I get medevaced, and I go to the hospital down there, Fort Bragg, Fort Benning, one of them. And the ranger instructor comes in and says, well, Lieutenant, we'd really like to have you back, but you have to start at the beginning. And I said, there is no way I'm going back and doing what I just did for 3 weeks, because you get smoked, right? It was horrible, right? They just are at you the whole time. And so I made a decision at that time, and that was really the first time in my life where I failed. I did not succeed, and I made a conscious decision that I wasn't going to go back and do that. And that kind of changed the course of my career in the military. The second one was a leadership-oriented one, and this is, I guess, germane to those who are interested in becoming an officer. We had a platoon change of command ceremony, and I was 21 years old. And I look out at these 40 men and women whom I was entrusted to lead. And at that point, that responsibility really hit me, that these were men and women, and not young men and women. One guy was a Vietnam vet, right? I did whatever he said. But that was a leadership training moment and a recognition that it's a huge responsibility to be in that kind of position.
These guys are tough here. I got a lot. It could take us all day if you want to know, but I'll give you just one. We went to Fort Polk, home of the infantry soldier. We went to Tigerland. So they teach you how to get in and out of helicopters. They're static displays. They're really not. You can't fly the thing, but you practice. So now I go to Nam. I'm on my first air assault. I says, okay, now I got to remember all this bullshit that they taught me, you know, how to get out of this properly and all of that. And the guy comes in, they hover in, and I see the guy, door gunner, crew chief, shaking their head. They said, get out. I said, well, we didn't land yet. He said, we're not landing. Get the hell out. So I goes, are you kidding me? And I was an RTO for my sergeant who got killed right next to me later on, Charles Johnson. So now we jump out of the helicopter, right? And I goes, oh boy, I can't swim. So we're in a swamp. I says, I'm gonna drown. The first operation I go on, I'm gonna drown. My mother's gonna say, oh Jesus, he should have learned how to swim. But, and I'm carrying a radio, and we were in elephant grass too. So now I take the long antenna, because I paid attention when I was learning how to do this, and I put the long antenna on, and now I'm hearing ping, ping. I says, Sarge, what's that? He says, those are bullets, you asshole. Put that antenna down. I says, okay, baby. That thing never went up again the whole time I was carrying a radio. Just use the short antenna. If they can't hear us, the hell with them. So that was one of my experiences, and then there was a couple others. They made me a sergeant, believe it or not. I was in for a year, and they made me a sergeant. Now I was a pain in the ass. Now I got to put up with the pains in the ass. But that's life. But the military you learn a lot. You meet a lot of great guys. I got a bunch of friends right here. These guys right here, Vietnam veterans for the community. Most of you see their pictures in the post office. If you go in there, their pictures are in there. They've been there for years. They're wanted. Check them out. You might get a reward. But the military's great. I don't care if you're in the Marines, Army, Air Force, Navy. We all work together. And that's one memorable thing. And you meet a lot of great guys. You serve with a lot of great guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Carlos. It's nice to meet you all. What did you do after you retired from the military? Like, what do you do now?
Question was, what did we do after we separated or retired from the military, and what do we do now? Now I'm the Director of Veteran Services for the City of Worcester. I've been helping veterans along the process, just being of service to people. So I've been helping veterans probably for 20, 25 years with just claims and different things on my own. So it just made sense for me when I moved from the Midwest here to start getting into veteran services, and it landed me where I'm at now as a Director of Veteran Services. When I first got out of the Marine Corps, I assumed, because in the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major Tracy can tell you, corporals are the backbone of the Marine Corps. They pretty much run the show, most platoons and so forth. And so being a corporal in there, I had my own platoon at my last 2 duty stations and had all these Marines I was in charge of. I assumed that was going to translate over to the civilian world as soon as I got out. So when I got out, I didn't have any degrees, didn't have any other education other than a high school diploma. And I assumed automatically the civilian world was going to see me as this great leader and somebody to put in charge of this and that. And then I found myself working in a freaking chicken factory. And so I was working in a meat plant factory. I was upset and I was pissed off. And I said, life has to be more than this. And my mother kept telling me, go back to school. You got to go to college. And I was like, Mom, I don't need to go to college. I've been a supervisor in the Marine Corps. They need to respect that. And so that was my spiel. Then I kept going on, and then I finally figured out that I needed to either land a job or get some type of certification, whether it's electricity or plumbing or something, or I needed to go back to school. And so I decided to go back to school, get my education, and then some more doors started opening up. The most important thing was networking with people. So when you get out of the military service, join some type of veterans group, get involved. The veterans that are in those groups, they know people. Some of them have retired. So it's all about networking and building friendships. So call on your brothers and sisters that have served, and believe me, they will start opening up doors and introducing you to people. So that's what happened to me when I got out the service. So like I said, the service, and as eloquently as these guys here has stated, believe me, you develop and build these friendships. You know, if I wanted to move to Dallas, Texas today, I can call up a couple Marines down there that work down there, own companies, you know, different things. So it's a big brotherhood. So it really does open up doors for you. Take that experience. And to the young folks here, you know, if some of you may be trying to figure out what you're trying to do in life, believe us, we all have been there. Each and every one of us have been there. You know, trying to figure out whether we're going to go to college, trying to figure out whether we're going to just get a job after we get out of school, trying to figure out what we're going to do to make a living. And not everybody in the military goes to war. I think that's the biggest misconception. You know, if you want to enhance your chances of going to war, join the infantry. If you don't want to enhance your chances, join admin like I did. You know, and so believe me, it can create, as Sergeant Major Tracy said, good stability for you. It opened up doors for you, whether it's housing, traveling the world, seeing things, doing things that you haven't did before, like Sergeant Major Tracy said, jumping out of helicopters and different things of that nature, walking down mountains, patrolling. Those are things you don't get to do in everyday life. And until you do them, and then when you're not doing them anymore, you take them for granted when you were doing them at the time. We all can sit back and just tell you, you know, I wish I was doing this now, and, you know, just those experiences. Sergeant Major, thank you.
Yeah, great question. For me, you know, after my first enlistment, I kind of told you a little bit about the beginning, but after that, I really wanted to be a state trooper in Pennsylvania. I wanted to get into law enforcement. That was it. So, you know, after my first enlistment, you know, we went home on leave back to Pennsylvania. I almost had one foot out the door. I was almost out of the military. I was really wanting to get into law enforcement. So I go back, I look into the Pennsylvania, how to take the test, and, you know, you get preference points for being in the military towards any civic service type job. So if you're looking into firefighters and law enforcement, you already have preference points as a veteran when you're looking into those things. A lot of folks don't know that. But anyway, so I really wanted to be a law enforcement. So I'm thinking about, I'm almost out the door. I'm married. I'm going to take our family home, and we're going to, you know, go back to PA, and I'm going to be a state trooper for Pennsylvania. Go back to Camp, you know, Pendleton, which is in San Diego, and I'm walking to the restaurant to get a little lunch, and I hear this, "Hey, Marine." I look over, and this guy, big, you know, Master Sergeant, he's like, "Come here a second." He's like, "What you up to?" I was like, "I'm going to get some lunch. You know, I'm getting ready to leave the military." He's like, "Well, why are you leaving?" I'm like, "Well, I want to be law enforcement." He's like, "Well, where do you live?" I'm like, "I'm in Pennsylvania. I want to go back home. I want to go back, you know, towards the East Coast. You know, I'm out in California." He's like, "What if I can get you back to the East Coast?" So I listened to this guy, and here we are 30 years later. You know, that's what happened. You know, so there went the police and all that stuff. I re-enlisted or re-hitched in the Marines and stayed in. And now, as mentioned, I'm a junior ROTC teacher, retired after 30 years. I wanted to continue to serve in some type of capacity, like I mentioned earlier, about just serving. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be in uniform, but I wanted to continue to serve. And I have over 100 wonderful cadets that's in high school that, you know, make me enjoy coming to work every day. But yeah, that's it right there for me.
So you may, Carlos, thanks for your question, and you may have noticed that Marines are pretty easily fooled. Seriously, like there's a theme over here, right? It's a theme. Oh, you can go to play football in the Marine. Oh, you can become on the East Coast, right? My point there is, if you're going to join the military, whether you're enlisted or you're doing ROTC or anything, get it in writing. Okay, the recruiters have goals to meet. We love recruiters, right? They're great. But go see a recruiter and they promise you the sun, the stars, the moon. Get it in writing. Okay? Just a bit of practical advice that, you know, the Marines won't tell you. Sorry. Okay, I'll kind of... Right, exactly, right. I'll kind of keep my answer short. I didn't retire. I was medically and honorably discharged after my injury. I just couldn't do the things that I wanted to do or the military wanted me to do. So after my discharge, I kind of floated around for about a year. I took an out in Europe, and I kind of wandered around Europe for a year. I had some money, so I skied a little bit. I was really disoriented because I thought I was going to make the military my career. And I finally got my words there. I finally got my shit together. And I came back to DC, finished my master's degree, and then I really hit my military network hard. So that's another thing that these guys mentioned. It led to a job as Director of Communications for the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, where I worked for 7 years. And if you guys go to DC, I don't know if any of you have been to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, but it's a really beautiful memorial in DC. And after I moved to Massachusetts, which you guys heard about to marry Heather, I tapped my military network again. And I moved here, no job, nothing. I tapped my military network again, and that led to a job at MIT in a engineering leadership program for 7 years. And now I work for the city of Worcester in resource development. So I write grants, I run programs for workforce development. And the theme, I guess, that you're also hearing here is service, right? Service to country and to other people.
Well, I didn't retire. I was only in for 2 years. That was enough for me. In the Nam, and when you're in the infantry, you travel around by foot in the jungle, and we dug a foxhole every night. We had to dig in. And I said, when I get out of here, one thing I'm not going to do is ever use a shovel again. I said, if I see a shovel, I'll just shoot it or do something. So my first job is digging the infield at Oxford High School by hand. I said, what the hell am I doing here? So then, like, one of them said networking. So I did network with a bartender. That's how we network. And he got me a job. I worked for the city for 38 years, weights and measures. So it was good networking with my buddy Danny Germain. He said, Phil, you need a job? I said, well, I'm kind of doing. I got to construct. Then I worked in the shop. That was another story. That was another beauty. Worked at Worcester Press Steel. That was great. I had a lot of fun there, yelling at people. But, it was, and the thing is, and as a matter of fact, I worked with a couple guys. One of them's a retired police officer, Phil Sandberg. I just saw him the other day. He was a hot shit. He got this part of his foot knocked off there in Nam. And he went down to the police. He got the job, and he went in, and the doctor said, oh, you can't be a police officer, you can't run. And Phil says, did you ever see some of these cops around here? He says, they can't even walk, never mind run. But Phil was on the police force, he retired too. But then I worked with a couple other guys. They worked for the city too. We all went to the city together. We all left. We went into the office and said, we're leaving. And our boss said, why? He said, because this place sucks, that's why we're leaving. He said, you two could be the president. I said, the president of this dump? What are you kidding me? We're out of here. So, but that's it. And like they said, you do meet a lot of people when you're in the service. You meet a lot of people who know people. And it's very nice. So if you're thinking of joining, go ahead. Like I said, you guys got to have a football team. I look out these bruises they got. My God, you guys that make a hell of a line.
Good morning. It's nice to meet all of you. My question for you guys today is, what is your message to us high school students?
Great question, great question. What would our message be to high school students? My message would be to believe us, life goes by fast. You're 18 now, 19, before you know you're gonna look up and you're 40. Time goes by fast, so take advantage of the time. Each and every one of us, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, each and every one of us. But it's what you do with those 24 hours that's going to decide whether or not you're going to have a productive life. So just be productive, set some short-term and long-term goals. Military may be an option, college may be an option. I've been teaching as a college professor on and off for about 20 years. But the military is certainly an option. You know, I heard some of the young folks, and you know, just talking about, well, would you go in the military? No, I won't go in. Believe me, military is an option. Would you rather, when you get to that feeling of waking up every day with nothing to do, it's what I call, you know, an idle mind makes a heavy heart. So if you have nothing to do every day, sooner or later you're going to start feeling depressed. You have to have some type of goal to look forward to. So I would encourage each and every one of you young folks to don't exit out not going in the military. You know, just choose wisely. If you go in, choose a good MOS, military occupation, which means, for lack of better words, your job that you're going to do in there. Choose a good job. Go in, learn the experience. Most people that do go in say, I'm going to go in for 2 years or 4 years and then end up staying for 10 or 12 or 20. You know, because they understand that it becomes a way of life. It gives them stability. You know, when I was 18, like I said before, thought I was headed off to play football. I was looking for my first apartment with my daughter. I thought, you know, and had I got that apartment, I probably would have never went in the Marine Corps. But I didn't get that apartment. So as a result, I needed some stability, and so I went into the Marine Corps. So when something happens bad in your life, it's not because you wasn't do it or you shouldn't have been awarded it. Sometimes you're being redirected to your purpose, where you need to be. So set some short-term and long-term goals, whether that be the military or college, but just find something to be productive. That's my advice to the young folks.
Yeah, great question. You know, as Dr. Robinson says, you know, what I like to tell, a lot of young people think, you know, well, it's 4 years, Sergeant Major. It's 4 years. What's that? I thought it's 4 years. You know, whatever that might be. I'm saying if you decide to join the military, right? You're 21, 22, leaving service, if that's an option. So what I'm saying is you're not old if you're looking into the military and all that. So that would be one thing. But like Dr. Rob, for sure, set some goals, set some short-term goals. You have to have a purpose. You know, have some things that you want to step. So in the first 6 months, I want to do this. The next 6 months, you know, I want to try to make this happen. You know, and the next, you know, whatever within that year or 2 years, you know, maybe it's you want to go to trade school and learn how to be a carpenter. We need plumbers. We need, you know, electricians. So all those things. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, a 4-year university or something like it. It could be a technical skill. We need all those folks. But as mentioned, I would say you just got to have some goals and strive to be those goals. I mean, we all here, you know, like mentioned, you know, join the military as that, you know, maybe stepping stone to your future of maybe, you know, a springboard on, you know, what's next for me, you know, and what's next for me is going to be when you're 22, 23. Are you really that old? Not really. So you still got lots of things to do, and you can use the military if that's the case, or a 4-year education at a school to say, all right, I have this. This is my springboard to the next stage or the next step in what I want to do to be successful. And everybody defines success and all those things differently. Success to you might be different than what I might say success is. But without any, you know, type of purpose and all that stuff, set some goals, all those things, and don't feel like, you know, hey, well, I can do that next week. I'll do that next year, or I'll wait 2 years. You know, time, like Dr. Robbins, it'll be gone before you know it. So don't wait. You know, be aggressive, make decisions, and just hop in there feet first. Yeah.
Thanks for that question. I have 3 because we remember things in 3. So the first one I already mentioned, which is get it in writing. Whatever it is, right? Whatever the commitment is, get it in writing. The second one is a lesson from my failure at Ranger School, which I continue to regret to this day, is that it may deter you from what you thought you'd do, and it'll redirect you to another path. Okay, so that's number 2. And number 3, and this is to Sergeant Major Lynch's point, and I can't call him Tracy. I mean, when he stands up, I stand up, right? To Sergeant Major Lynch's point, in this country, we talk a lot about what we deserve. You hear that a lot. I deserve this, we deserve that, deserve, deserve, deserve. You can't spell deserve without serve, Okay? So serve. And then you, as a result, deserve.
Good job, Bruce. Okay, yeah, we're going to vote for you, Bruce. Whatever you're running for, we're voting for you. Okay. I just want to enjoy what you do. That's the thing. Enjoy it. Don't make it, go in and then you go home, you're bitching and moaning. Just enjoy it, I enjoyed what I did. Some days it wasn't that great, but that's what happens. That's life. There's ups and downs. And live with your parents as long as you can. Let them pay the bills. That's the main thing, Stay with them, even if you're 40 or 50. It's all right. It's okay. They're not going to like it, but you're going to love it, let me tell you. Because when I left the house, I get the phone bill, I got the electric bill, I got the gas bill, I got that, Jesus, you get all these bills, you forget, because your parents paid for everything. But that's the important thing. Until they tell you to, get out. But enjoy what you're going to do. And there's many jobs out there, and everybody's, like, what was her name there, the writer? The grass always looks greener over a septic tank. That's the deal. That's what she used to say. She wrote a book, about that. And it really, a job looks good to you, then you go there and geez, I should have stayed where I was. This isn't as great as I thought. So just enjoy it. Enjoy life, because all of a sudden you're an old bastard like me. I can't believe it. I was 21 last week. Now I'm 78. I don't know how that happened. But enjoy it.
Thank you.
Hello. It's
Hello.
an honor to meet you. I'm Andrew. And my question is, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
What legacy would we like to leave behind? For me, I would like to leave a legacy of just being known for being of service to people. I think, my personal beliefs is that we were put on this earth to be of service to others. And if you're being of service to others, then that will return, that generosity often will return to you. So I make it my stance to try and help out everybody that I encounter, not just saying monetary value of giving someone something, but also giving them the tools. It might be giving them the tools or giving them the connections or the networking. And even my staff. First of all, I want my staff to stand up and be recognized for the work that they do for the city of Worcester. These are the individuals that make everything happen in the city as far as veteran services in the city. So I am grateful that we have a great team that actually help me implement policies, make changes for the city on behalf of our veterans. And so working in that office, each and every one of us, we are building a legacy for veteran services for the city of Worcester. So we're doing things this year that we have not done before. So our intention is to leave a legacy for the next director, for the next team of folks that are working in that office to ensure that they're being of service to the veterans in this community. So I think the biggest thing that we can do is to be of service to one another.
Yeah, awesome question. I mean, I'm not too where the teacher is for you guys over there, but you guys did a great job with these questions. For me, we have this saying in the military, leave it better than the way you found it. So leave it better than the way you found it. And for me, if I can just touch or impact, a few people, leave it better than I found it, that would be enough for me. And then maybe hitting a Powerball. But other than that.
Appreciate that question. And as I've gotten older, with all respect to my fellow veterans and grandmothers and grandmothers out there, I am a very small person in a very big world. So I'm not sure I can leave a legacy. What I'd like to leave is a memory, and that is that when people talk about me, they say, yeah, he was a good guy.
I don't know if I can leave anything. Maybe a couple of bills. I'll leave some bills. That'll be my legacy. I'll leave you my electric bill, and that's way up there now, and maybe the gas bill. No, I don't have gas. But I have a group of guys right here, with Vietnam Veterans for the Community, we call ourselves. So what we do is we take care of the memorial up at Green Hill. We do a lot of things to help people. That's what you want to do. You want to help people. Like I got an elderly woman across the street. Every Friday I put a trash out for her because she can't make it up the hill. She's a pain in the ass sometimes, but I do it because I want to help her. She can't do it. Then I go over with the snow blower, blow the snow for her so she can get out. But again, sometimes she's a pain in the ass because you get close to my car. All right, well move your car so I can do it, okay? But that's the thing, you got to help people out. And, like, if you're going to be a good neighbor, just help people out. You see somebody doing something, they need help, like somebody would have. Although nowadays, it's kind of hard to stop, and because some of these people out there are a little nutty. So if you see a guy with a flat tire, so you call somebody, blow the horn and wave to him. You get AAA from him or something, because he might have a gun. But that's all. Just hope, and hopefully when I go, somebody says, "Geez, I think I remember him. He was a real." Oh no, that wasn't the guy. He ain't a dipshit. No, that was his cousin. But just that's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Servant Hayes and Cameron Young from Claremont Academy. They're going to come up and they're going to lead us in God Bless America. It's supposed to be after. It's after. She's after us. I think it's on your brochure, folks, if you want to sing along on your table there. I think so. Come on up, guys. Come on up. Come on up.
No, someone to follow you. God bless America, land that I love.
Stand beside her a little louder.
And guide her through the night with light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America. That's it. Love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you.
Before you sit, please remain standing. I'd like to say, gentlemen, in many religious traditions, there are sacred texts that we read about the lives of our ancestors. Thank you today for sharing your experience of our contemporary ancestors and your service. There is certainly wisdom to be gained from all of those stories. They are sacred, and thank you. I'd also like us to do something a little different. Maybe we can hold hands of the person that is next to us, because after all, we are the United States of America. Thank you. As we conclude this sacred gathering, may the courage and dedication of those we honor remain ever in our hearts. May our veterans feel the lasting gratitude of a grateful nation. May our youth, students and cadets alike, be inspired to live lives of service, integrity, and compassion. May we as a community continue to work together for justice, peace, and unity. And may the memory of those who have served guide and strengthen us in everything that we do. Go forth in peace, with gratitude in your hearts, and may the blessing of courage, hope, and enduring love be upon each of you as we walk with a consciousness that freedom is not free. Amen.
Okay, guys, you can be seated. All right, before we start for lunch here, I think lunch is next. Right, we're gonna have the veterans go around, but before we do that, we have Suki here in the front, Suki Lapin. Where's the staff of the Worcester Senior Center? Yes, let's thank them, Suki, everybody, for allowing us to come together and share stories and thoughts. Thank you so much. So what we're gonna do is go around the room. You've heard enough from us up here. I know you did. So we're gonna just stand and rise and just tell us who you are, where you're from, and maybe what branch of service you were in. All the veterans.
My name is... stand up again? I'm too old to be standing. My name is Gus, and I belong with that crazy guy up there, Phil, and the rest of these guys, and thank you for what you're doing here today.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bill Marcelli. I was in the Marine Corps since 1965 to 1969.
Hi, my name's Al Kurzweil Jr. I was in the United States Navy. I was a gunner's mate. I was in the evacuation of Saigon, 74, 75.
My name is Casey Pulaski, 101st Airborne Division, Vietnam 69.
Yeah, my name is Arthur Pryor. I was in the Air Force from 1969 to 1973.
Hi, I'm Bob Erickson, live in Worcester. I was in the United States Army from 1969 to 1994. Doug McAllister, Worcester, Vietnam.
Albert McCarthy, United States Air Force and National Security Agency. I served in Korea and loved every minute of it.
Roger Fedner, Air Force 5559.
Ed Nelson, Air Force, 1953 to 57. I was in a radar jamming or electronics countermeasure experiment. Things worked well for me. I got the GI Bill, and I taught 40 years at Burncoat High here in Worcester.
Worcester, Robert Hebden, 1974 to 1980, U.S. Army combat medic.
Judy Farrell, 1956 to 1960. Navy.
Navy.
Janet Chalapo, Coast Guard, 1973 to 1977.
Thank you, guys.
Name is Dave Furman. I served in the Coast Guard and the United States Marine Corps for about 20 years.
My name is Bill Krikorian. I went to WPI for engineering, became a first lieutenant, went to Vietnam, and built many roads and bridges.
Say where you were a teacher.
I also taught school in Worcester.
Where?
At the academy over where she comes from.
Oh, you were at Claremont Academy?
I was for a while. Burkhardt High School.
Alfred Johnson, 101st Airborne Division, Vietnam veteran.
Leon Brunel, 25th Infantry Mechanized. I served in Vietnam, and I'm glad to be home. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you guys.